Welcome back to the show. Check out these headlines we got for you today. Brad Garlinghouse at Paris Blockchain Week and so much more. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and digperspectives.com for exclusive content. Right now, $2.68 trillion market cap for crypto. It's off by 3.2, 68,000 slightly over for Bitcoin, 3,400 plus for Ethereum, 107 billion plus market cap for Tether right now. 60 cents is XRP. It's off by 4.3 on the 24 and up by 4.1 on the 7-day. Range of price very quickly is between 60 and 63 cents. So we're on the lower side of the range, but we'll keep an eye on it today. Let's talk about this very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, and it's I Trust Capital, the best crypto gold silver IRA on the planet, bar none, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you go click the link underneath the video and find out for yourself what's so incredible about it. Well, one, you're buying tax-free crypto in your IRA, which feels amazing. But number two, you are empowered because you have your own back office. You can move those assets around anytime you want, giving you all the power and dominion over your future and portfolio. Make sure you check them out. Let's get started right here, ladies and gentlemen. XRP Las Vegas. Looky here, XRP Cafe says we're headed to XRP Las Vegas May 3rd and 4th. Looking forward to hanging out with the XRP Ledger fam and OGs. You damn right. Come on in. If you haven't got your ticket, 22 days left, ladies and gentlemen. Do not mess around. Get your ticket. I'm telling you, this is going to be remarkable. And by the way, there is going to be a special link inside of the Freedom Zone where you can get a special link to the private dinner for Brad Garlinghouse, Christian Carlo, and Congressman Wiley Nickel, Michael Arrington. I mean, the list goes on and on. You want to get that ticket and get that link. You come on into the Freedom Zone and make sure you get that link. There's a discount in there. They want to sell this thing out and get it done and help them raise money, ladies and gentlemen, for the Digital Chamber and all the hard work they're doing. Make sure you click the link and get your tickets for all the events today. This is Mr. Tillis right here, and I tell you what, this is all about stable coins, ladies and gentlemen, and you're going to love every single bit of it. We're getting close, and I think we're getting closer than we even realize. You're going to hear from Tillis, and you're going to hear from a Senator Gillibrand. I always mess her name up, but I believe it's Gillibrand, and you're going to want that too. Take a listen.
One thing I would tell people in the crypto or digital asset space that's saying, nothing to see here, everything's fine, they're wrong. There needs to be some light regulatory regimen put into place. Otherwise, there are risks. Think FTX, think a lot of other issues out there that we want to adjust for. We want to create the most hospitable environment for digital assets to thrive. We don't want to overreach and lose the opportunity to be that jurisdiction. And so, do you acknowledge the inherent problems with trying to imply the old sort of banking construct of BSA, AML, and know your customer to a distributed ledger, digital assets?
So, Senator, I do think that, to your point, we have to take a differentiated approach depending on the type of tool. And that's why we would use this, even under our proposal, in a risk-based manner. And to your point of trying to make the United States jurisdiction that is able to win, even in this space, I think one of the proposals we have in our proposal is giving us the ability.
How do you calculate the risk base? So that's a way of saying I'm going to put my foot on the accelerator or not based on someone in Treasury's assessment of the risk a given entity represents. Is that what you're suggesting? How does that give me any certainty? If I'm in this space, because it seems like to me that could differ from an administration that listens to Tom Tillis on financial regulations versus an administration that listens to Elizabeth Warren on financial regulations. She's a friend and colleague of mine. We have differences in terms of the role government should play or just how far down they should go. So it sounds like to me that could ebb and flow and not necessarily provide certainty that provides the sort of fertile ground for us being able to define the gold standard of digital assets and crypto regulations.
So, Senator, the one thing that I think we've all seen is that as the crypto ecosystem evolves, and it evolves quickly, we're going to need to think about the regulatory approach as that evolution takes place. The goal here is to use the regulatory process to do this, and one of the things that the regulatory process provides to these companies is a bit of certainty, because there's a notice and comment piece of this where those companies have the ability to provide feedback, and that once those rules are in place, what we found...
What kind of time frame? My time's up. I don't want to go too far over. I did have a closing comment for you, Mr. Chair, if I may, but what kind of time frame are we talking about through notice and comment before you promulgate a rule?
So, Senator, it all depends on how complicated the rule is, but it could be as quickly as a year before you have you go through a...
Yeah. So I guess the question that I have, we've got an election coming up. There may be a change of administration. If there is a change of administration, there will be a vastly different view about how you go and regulate in this space. And so I, for one, would like to look at the possibility of working with your office to address some of the things in your punch list that we agree with, so that we may be able to get regulations on the books in this Congress that will certainly not go as far as some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle want to go, but far short of the wild, wild west that we find ourselves in now.
I look forward to working with you on that.
And Mr. Chair, the only other thing I was going...
And there you have that. We got so much more to hear. We got to keep it going. But look, you're going to see here directly here. This is fantastic news being talked about here, which is the Ripple's new partner, BCB Group, which also services clients like Kraken and Gemini. They have chosen Medico for their solution. We got to keep moving. We got to tell you, we got stuff for you today. And look at this. You remember National Bank of Georgia on Monday added monetary gold to its international reserves for the first time. Now, you will remember Georgia's central bank already named Ripple as the CBDC technology partner, so this is huge in that regard. The National Bank of Georgia and Ripple planned the execution and delivery of the pilot program using Ripple CBDC platform. Love seeing that. And then we have this. Yes, Brad Garlinghouse at Paris Blockchain Week, and it's wonderful. He's got plenty to say, and we've got it for you. Here he is here with Sologenic, who will be at XRP Las Vegas. And by the way, Corium now has 1.6 million, probably over 2 million now, XRP that has moved over to their ecosystem because of the interoperability going on there. Shout out to Bob Ross, Fabio, and everybody at Reza and everybody else over there at Sologenic and Corium for doing all of the hard work to bring interoperability to this space. No question about it. And then we see here, these are the clips we have of Brad Garlinghouse. We're going to start with this one here. You're going to want it. He talks about the SEC and whether we're going to have Gary Gensler for much longer.
I'll just make a point. Gary Gensler will not be the chair of the SEC in probably a year and a half or 2 years' time. There will be a new leader. There will be a new perspective, and I hope a more constructive perspective from the United States government on how to work with this industry. I think we all acknowledge this industry is not going away, and in events like Paris Blockchain, we keep growing for a reason. Not only the event, also.
Now there's that clip right there. Gary isn't in there forever. Keep that in mind. It is comforting. Now listen to this.
The most macro view, I think many of us are believers in the stablecoin market, right? As a bridge between traditional finance and decentralized finance. Stablecoins, I think, play a very important role. The market itself today, as I think we all have seen, is about $150 billion. The US dollar stablecoins by far is the dominant. Some, and certainly I'm one of these players, believes that market at $150 billion today, it's forecasted to be somewhere around 2.5 to 3 trillion in about 4 or 5 years. So that's a 20x growth. I think there's going to be a bunch of different players, and I think Tether's going to continue to do well, Circle's going to continue to do well. I think there's a role for Ripple to play in that, given our focus on the kind of infrastructure level. And look, I also think, and we wouldn't do this unless we thought it was going to be very good to the XRP ledger. As you have seen stablecoins launch on other layer ones, you've seen liquidity in that layer one grow. our goal as much as anything is to grow liquidity in the XRP ledger. So we view this as a good opportunity for Ripple, but an even better impact on the XRP ledger.
Well, looking forward to that for sure. What are the stepping stones to launching a stablecoin on the XRP?
Well, one of the most important pieces of a robust stablecoin is really banking partnerships. And so, a lot of the questions we got when we announced last week were questions about how we're going to manage audits, how we're going to manage attestations.
And they're going to handle all of that because we know that Ripple has set the standard for transparency in this space. No question about that. Now let's take a listen. We got one more clip here for you. Take a listen to this one here.
I told David this backstage. When friends of mine ask me, hey, I want to invest in crypto, how should I do that? I always say, invest in a basket. I'm not saying just buy Bitcoin or just buy XRP. I'm saying you want to invest in a basket and have diversification. So, look, I think there will be other ETFs. Unfortunately, I think it's going to take a little bit of time because the United States SEC is fighting that. But I think one of the things that people don't fully understand, that they haven't really paid attention to, in the United States, there's only two cryptos that have regulatory clarity. Bitcoin, and because of the fight we had with the courts, XRP has regulatory clarity that it's not a security. And so that is, I think, it's a differentiator, and I think it does matter. To answer your macro point, look, there will be other ETFs in the United States. Hard to predict the timelines. I don't know how hard Gary Gensler and this SEC will fight.
And he's absolutely right. And, you don't know how hard Gary Gensler will fight, but he has been fighting really hard, right? I mean, he was forced by the courts to give the Bitcoin spot ETF. We can't lose sight of that, right? And we know that there are going to be other ETFs. And certainly it is, not a stretch by any means to think that we would get an XRP ETF at some point as well. And again, that plays into the whole two-headed dragon I've talked about, and I will continue to talk about here, where you have the demand coming on to the liquidity or to the XRP ledger with the introduction of a stable coin, right? And that way the XRP and the stable coin can complement each other on that network, and then building liquidity that way, as we've seen with many other networks that introduce a stable coin, and then the approval of a spot ETF and the demand to be able to back that fund with the actual assets. That is going to cause a huge supply shock over time, I believe, and I'm excited to watch it happen. I do believe we'll see that take place. Now, here's one more little clip we have here for you from Brad. Take a listen to this clip. Brad also talks about a stablecoin bill in the United States, and he expects that could be done this year also, or within a year.
Ripple has always tried to take a very compliance-first mindset, and that somewhat controversially in the earliest days of crypto. Ripple's been around for a while. We've always tried to partner with regulators, with governments around the world. We continue to do that, including some of the work we've done around central bank digital currencies. So, in moving forward with a U.S. dollar stablecoin, we have decided, early on, we are going to be U.S. domiciled in that effort. We're not going to try to, okay, that's not clear, let's do it offshore. And I do think we will probably see a stablecoin legislation in the United States pass, I'll say within the next year. I think the team at Circle has been doing a great job of providing leadership around that in the United States. In an election year of the United States between Trump and Biden, who knows what's going to happen. But I think before a crypto bill would pass in the United States, you'd see a stablecoin bill pass. Now, you already have seen leadership, and frankly, Europe is ahead of the United States for sure.
When it comes to regulation.
When it comes to regulation. Well, when it comes to a number of things, but regulation being one. And so, I don't think any bill that I have seen is necessarily perfect, but I think sometimes we can't let perfection be the enemy of forward progress.
Absolutely. You can't let it be perfection be the enemy to forward progress. No question. Brad says it best right there. But look, we're very close to this thing here. Let me give you this very quickly. All right, we got it queued up for you. Take a listen to this.
So developing two paths for the stablecoin users, for the stablecoin issuers. One path would be for depository institutions that would mirror the dual banking system. This path allows for both federal and state bank chartered depository institutions to become stablecoin issuers after an approval process.
Listen to this part.
The other path would be for non-depository institutions.
Non-depository institutions.
sometimes referred to as state non-bank pathway.
State non-bank pathway. Okay? I think you're getting it.
This pathway would give the federal government supervisory authority.
So the federal level would oversee the non-bank side is what she's suggesting there, if I'm picking up what she's putting down.
Over the state non-bank institutions while preserving states as the primary functional regulator. This precise...
So that seems like the bargain that's gone on between Maxine Waters and Patrick McHenry, the right and left side of the aisle. The left side wants federal oversight completely, and the right side of the aisle wants state oversight. So it sounds like they found a common ground where they could split it and say, listen, you could have the oversight for the non-bank payment providers. Maybe that means like Ripple and others. And the states get to do the banks. That sounds like the way they've laid this out here. Keep listening.
The precise details of this pathway, however, are still being ironed out, and we expect we'll introduce this legislation either at the end of this week or next week.
Whoa! Within the next week or so. This is a senator, and we know that that's where the hardest fight to get this bill through is. So brace yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. And here's Patrick McHenry to tell you he's still optimistic about getting this done.
What are your goals in the remaining months? Do you think we can get the bills through?
Yeah, my hope is to get policy enacted in law. I think we can get our stablecoin policy set through and signed into law. That will be the first sign that there is hope and there is bipartisanship when it comes to this this world of digital assets.
And there you have it. Still very hopeful. And I'm even more hopeful now because it's not just Patrick McHenry saying it from the House. We just heard Senator Gillibrand say it from the Senate. So this has got a lot more weight to it, ladies and gentlemen. Lots going on, lots going on. Super excited about all of this because we know stablecoin legislation is going to unlock tokenization for real world assets, ladies and gentlemen. Make no mistake about it. It is massive. So I hope they get this done this year. It'll be so good for this entire space. We're going into the Freedom Zone, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to want to join us. Remember that eclipse? Well, we've got something for you to see now that that eclipse is over. And I don't know what I'm looking at. Maybe you do. So maybe you can look at it too. And you can do that by going to digperspectives.com or clicking the link underneath the video and joining the Freedom Zone for next to nothing, where you get all the daily content that I post on YouTube with zero Google ads, ladies and gentlemen, for less than a cost of a cup of coffee per month. I hope you'll join us. We're going into the Freedom Zone, not financial advice from me or anyone else. I'll catch all of you on the inside. Come on in. All right.